Everyone blames Mercury retrograde for people coming back. But let me ask you something. What if you came back too? Not just to an ex, but to a dream you abandoned, a mistake you never fixed, a conversation you avoided. Today's episode isn't about Mercury retrograde being a bad thing. It's about what it reveals and what it refuses to let you ignore. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Sister Signs and Red Flags, the podcast where astrology ain't therapy, but it's close. I'm your host, Lika, and today's episode is a cosmic intervention to get y'all girls ready and prepared to embrace this year's Mercury retrograde in fiery Leo. Because Mercury retrograde doesn't ruin your plans. It doesn't bring you bad luck or destroy your cell phone. But it does absolutely remind you about some things that were never finished. Now, I know most of y'all have heard the phrase Mercury retrograde and just assume it meant chaos, but it would be wrong of me to assume that everybody listening knows what it actually is. So for the girls who don't know, 4 times a year, Mercury looks like it comes to a stop and starts moving backward from our point of view here on Earth. That's what retrograde means. A planet appearing to move in reverse, and whenever a planet is retrograde, that planet's themes tend to come up for review. So, when Mercury's retrograde, communication gets messy, old conversations resurface, text threads resurrect, delayed flights, broken phones, and random exes start crawling out of the woodwork. All of that's retrograde energy. And full disclosure, I have been that ex that comes back, but I've also been the girl who reopens old files, re-download old voice memos, and reread old text threads just to ask myself, was I really tripping? Mercury retrograde will have you spinning the block on people, plans, and versions of yourself you swore you left behind. And baby, I am not an exemption. So let's get into it. Before we get into the red flags and the patterns Mercury retrograde can and will reveal, I need to give you a little backstory about me and a man I like to call Mr. Situationship. If you're new here, then you need to know that Mr. Situationship is exactly what he sounds like. He's a man I've circled back to more times than Mercury has retrograded. The short story is, I met him in high school. The long story is, through 2 marriages and a whole lot of dating other people, he and I had an off and on 24-year situationship. And I mean, the shit was toxic as hell, because how are we out here declaring that no matter who we were with, we will always be with each other? No kinds of fucks given for the other people in our lives at all. But I can go on for days about me and this man, the things we've done to and for each other, but I'm gonna be for real. We don't have time for all that today. It would take hours. And I do want to clarify, I'm not sharing this to romanticize it. I'm sharing this because this is the kind of story retrograde energy loves to bring back, and the kind of loop I finally had to break. Now, with that being said, we're going to start and finish with 100% moments of truth and honesty. So let's go ahead and clear the air and put this out there. Mercury retrograde energy isn't just about them running back like they are NFL running backs, LaDainian Tomlinson or Kyron Williams. Because really, some of y'all be in full pads with a helmet on, ready to play in the expo. Y'all not just running plays, baby. You build a whole fantasy leagues off your last text thread. But look, there's no judgment. I just told you, I know, I've been there. Because sometimes it's also you, and at times it has most certainly been me. Now let's talk about why this is the case. This one is big and hits a lot of us frequently. This whole idea of closure. Red flag number 1. You're calling it closure, but it's really curiosity. So, back in 2018, I had broken things off with Mr. Situationship for like the 12,000th time. I told him not to call me, not to text me. I was in a serious relationship and I was moving on because I knew and had known that he couldn't and wouldn't respect the boundaries that I needed. And his response, oh well, you'll be back in 3 years, just like always. And here's that part that I hate to admit. He was right, because 3 years later, in February 2021, I slid right into his DMs during a post-retrograde shadow like the door had never been shut. I told myself I was being mature, that I had evolved, that I was healed enough to reach out and just check in. I sent a polite little message. Hey, love. Hope all is well. Shoot me a text when you can. But if I'm being real, I was testing the signal. I was seeing if the door was still cracked, seeing if the old rhythm could still play, if the energy still lived in the spaces between our words. And I called it closure. I told myself I just wanted peace, but closure is supposed to be an ending. And deep down, I was hoping it was a beginning. Because let's be honest, when you send that just checking in text, you already know the answer. You're not checking in. You're reopening the file. You're hoping the wound is healed enough to poke at it without it bleeding again. And Mercury retrograde, it doesn't just bring the mess back. It brings the illusion of maturity. It tells you, go ahead, reach out. You're older now. You're healed. You can handle it. And on the surface, maybe you believe it. You tell yourself you're revisiting something for closure, that is about peace, growth, understanding. But really, you're chasing confirmation that you weren't crazy 3 years ago. You want proof that what you felt was real, that the connection mattered, that you didn't imagine the potential. Because closure isn't always about ending. Sometimes it's about validation. A final, I wasn't the only one who felt it, right? But healed or not, the energy is still unfinished. And Mercury retrograde is just a nudge that brings it back to your doorstep, like ring. Sometimes it's not about getting closure. It's about admitting that you never really wanted it in the first place. You wanted clarity. You wanted acknowledgement. You wanted to feel like you weren't the only one holding the weight of it all. Red flag number 2. You think you're revisiting a person, but you're really revisiting a pattern. I didn't text Mr. Situationship because I missed him. I text him because I missed who I was when I was with him. When I tell you, baby, we picked up just as easy as we left off. The good mornings, the good nights, the I can't wait to see you again and feel you again text. They came real easy, because what I missed was the version of me that felt steady, secure, and grounded. And that's a really big deal for someone like me, a woman with a whole mutable ass chart. My sun is in Gemini, my moon is in Sag, and I am a Pisces rising. I flow, I float, I get overwhelmed, I start 100 things before I finish 5. And when life gets chaotic, sometimes you crave someone who isn't. Mr. Situationship, he was earthy, a full Taurus, y'all. He was solid, predictable in his own way. He didn't move fast. He didn't change lanes. He wasn't going to disappear suddenly or throw me into emotional chaos. And when I was spinning, he felt like a lightning rod, a grounding wire, familiar, comfortable, and safe. I used to say he was my escape. And that's what makes Mercury retrograde so seductive. It doesn't just bring the person back, it brings back the energy you associate with them, the version of yourself you used to be when they loved you, the emotional rhythm that made you feel stable, even if the connection wasn't. But here's the kicker. Familiar doesn't mean aligned. Comfortable doesn't mean healthy. Mercury didn't bring that man back. It brought back the mirror. Okay. And what I saw was me repeating a loop I thought I had already outgrown. But the truth is, I wasn't done learning yet. Red flag number 3. You're trying to fix what ain't yours to finish. We've talked about coming back for closure. We've talked about repeating old emotional patterns, but this one is different. This one is about the moment you realize that the story ain't even yours to carry anymore. See, for a long time, I thought that if I could just show up right, if I could love him better, communicate better, be softer, be wiser, be more spiritual, maybe I could fix it. Maybe I could heal it. Maybe the bond could become what I always hoped it would be. Because in my mind, he was my soulmate. But then something happened that changed everything. So when my daddy was in the hospital and the doctors told us we needed to decide if we were going to put him in hospice, that they were like he couldn't live without being on a vent, I was in one of the most heartbreaking moments of my life. And when I reached out to him, not for drama, not to rehash old stuff, but for comfort, for care, and for presence, months, he couldn't be bothered. He couldn't pick up the phone. He couldn't return a check. He didn't check on me. He didn't follow up. And that's when it hit me. He never really gave a damn about me. It was never about being there for me. It was always about what he could get from me. In that moment, that was my final straw. Not because I was angry, but because I was done. Because this whole time I had been trying to fix the connection that wasn't broken. It was simply one-sided. I had been trying to finish a story that he never started writing with me. I had been showing up like it was mutual when really it was just me. And Mercury Retrograde, it didn't bring him back. It brought the truth back. It brought the pattern back. And it made me face a part of me that still thought I could fix something that was never mine to heal. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is not fix it, is not try again. It's to walk away without slamming the door, because now you know it never led anywhere anyway. Mercury Retrograde isn't the problem. It's the pattern interrupter. It doesn't ruin your life. It slows it down. It makes you sit still. And sometimes stillness, that's hard, especially for people like me. Like I said, I'm a Gemini with a Pisces rising and a Sag moon. My whole chart is mutable. I flow, I shift, I adapt. But Mercury Retrograde, it don't let you pivot. It won't let you spin. It says, sit down, girl. Feel that. And when it slowed me down, I didn't just miss people. I miss peace. I miss certainty. I reached for someone who felt like grounding, even if that grounding was just a memory. But here's the thing. Retrograde doesn't come to give you comfort. It comes to give you clarity. And when I finally got quiet enough, I realized the stability I was reaching for in him was really something I needed to build in me. So no, Mercury Retrograde isn't your enemy. It's your mirror. And sometimes the mess it brings back is the truth you've been trying to ignore. Don't run from it, y'all. Read it, rewrite it, and walk forward for real this time. And if you've got some time on your hands, go back and review the last time Mercury went retrograde, which was March 1st through April 26th, 2025. What pattern or person showed up for you? And send me an email at hello@sistersciencepodcast.com and tell me what you found. For the next Mercury retrograde episode, I might just share your story. That's it for this episode of Sister Signs and Red Flag. If this is your first time watching or listening, go ahead and hit that follow, like, comment, and subscribe, baby. Or you can just slide through and keep lurking quietly, because either way, I'm seeing y'all for real, for real. And if you're one of my regulars, you already know what it is. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for watching. I'll be back next week with more astrology, more storytelling, and definitely more red flags. Until then, y'all, stay cute, stay petty, and be safe out there. Bye. Today's episode isn't about Mercury. That's what retrograde. Oh, that was nasty as hell. Before we get into the red flags and the patterns Mercury retrograde, it doesn't just bring back. It just doesn't just bring back. I'm about to. What the fudge?